Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about 3%, Season 2, Episode 5. It's called Chapter 5, Lamp. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. Well, colour me surprised.
I know, this season is going from strength to strength.
I am genuinely surprised with the events of this episode. This episode not only dropped on us that Ezekiel actually wanted to help the cause. He was team cause again.
Do you know what I love? Is that something that had crossed my mind from time to time?
Mm-hmm.
I've been like, oh, maybe. And then I've always dismissed it. Because it just didn't seem likely.
Yeah, it always felt like he was hiding something, but I never necessarily jumped to that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like the way he always gets agitated when he's talking to other members of the offshore, and he's always kind of like, don't question me. I'm in charge. I do these things. Like whenever he's being questioned, it always felt like he was being antagonistic, and it felt like there's more to his motivations. There's more to what he's got going on. But it never because we'd already went through. Okay, he used to be the cause, and now he's not. Like it never occurred to me because he was so dedicated to what he's been in season 1.
It only occurred to me recently because of Michelle's been going through that same journey of which side is she actually on. I was questioning it with Ezekiel, even at the start of this episode where he's like, "Nah, I'm still with the cause." I was going, "Is this just a ploy to get them to trust them?" I wasn't sure at first.
Maybe. What I think is wonderful actually is I realised in this episode, not only does his story parallel with Michelle, it also parallels with Raphael really well too. Because this whole thing when he got to the offshore is that he fell in love and had a wife.
Yeah.
And I wonder, will Raphael be swayed more towards the offshore, and then does something happen to Eliza that, brings him back over?
Maybe.
I was noticing just the parallels in that relationship kind of thing that he's going through right now with what Ezekiel went through, and I think that's fascinating. And ultimately, that's his motivation. We get a lot of flashbacks in this episode. We get some stuff we'd seen before, kind of mixed in with new stuff, with Julia and the kid that he looks after for her kid. And of course we get some other flashbacks to back in the orphanage when the old man wasn't so old and Ezekiel was getting ready to go into the process.
I love how you can tell immediately that it's the old man. It's all in the beard.
I just loved it. Instead of saying 25 years ago it said the year of process 80, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I really like this system of dating because it's like, okay, 25 years ago.
Yeah, and of course we see that Ezekiel is the one who gives him the scarring in his face. he smashes the hot water in his face. So this was fascinating. It was seeing him be determined to be the one who goes in as the infiltrator, and seeing him because again it does kind of remind me of Raphael, how he's determined that he's the one who's best for the job. There's definitely parallels there. And we see later on when he's talking to the old man and he's got him in the cage, which is kind of just a few weeks ago in the timeline. And we just all these different points of it, but because the episode starts with Cheryl and Joanna are running away, so where are we going? We're going to the base, and it's funny because last episode I was saying, what point does Michelle kind of fess up that she's got Ezekiel in her head?
It's instantly.
And she just starts talking. It's like, oh no, and she says, well, it's not even that. She starts talking back to Ezekiel, and just as and she's talking back to him, and she keeps talking, and she's shushing Joanna, and then she starts writing, messages down, oh, it's all Ezekiel, he's sent me here. And
do you know what I loved most about this? I didn't know if she was actually betraying Ezekiel or not. I wasn't sure if this was her way of gaining the trust of look, I can't keep up this cover forever, because I need to talk to him at some point, and they're going to catch me talking to him. So just get it out now, tell them, make them think I'm on their side entirely, and you can use it.
I think I was leaning that she's not on Ezekiel's side here, just because the point she brings up, they've got my brother.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Now, admittedly, that doesn't necessarily mean that she won't ultimately betray the cause to get her brother back, but at least, again, like last episode, I believe she hates Ezekiel, and she hates...
Oh, no, I do believe that, but that's the thing is, okay, the lies of, the most believable ones are the ones that are the closest to being true. So this is, say they've got my brother, it's true, but you're just twisting the motivation a touch. Everything she says is true, but not necessarily the reason why.
And what's interesting is I think by the end of this episode, it's I think regardless if she was or she wasn't, her and Joanna are kind of locked together now.
Absolutely.
They're
She's
united.
got no choice.
Yeah, because she's cut off from, because this is the thing, so basically Silas comes back, he's ready to shoot Michelle. Joanna and Michelle try to talk him down and explain what's happening, that Raphael's the traitor. and then like the gun like just comes into the back of his head, and I'm like, oh, who's
I
this?
love this is happening while Michelle's on the floor in the other room hiding, and she's desperately going, Ezekiel, where are you? I need your help now. And just just silence from him.
Yeah, and then you see the gun press against the back of his head, and you're like, oh, who's this? I wonder. Like, your mind doesn't necessarily jump to Ezekiel, because you're thinking, oh, who could this be? Who's this ally that we don't know about yet? And then the camera, like, and it's Ezekiel. He's actually came down from the process. He's like here, and we find out that he actually changed the letter the old man left. It was his idea in the first place for the bomb, because that'll be dramatic. It'll scare the people from coming back to the process. He's luring in the council.
Yeah, he's invited them so that there'll be guaranteed casualties.
Yeah, so we get all this motivation, and he kind of tries to explain it to him and justifies it. He brings up his wife, brings up the kid, all this stuff. Her committing suicide, not even being allowed to bury her body. Because,
what I'd love as well, on top of this, I really want to know what the old man's original letter was. Like, what was the original plan? If this is Ezekiel's extreme version, but there was a letter that he swapped out. It's not like this was just he created it from scratch.
I do not know. That'll be fine. Maybe we'll find out, because the old man's still there. He's still in the cage.
Yes,
so we might get a chance to speak to him at some point. But so all this was great, and again, much like last episode, this was mostly a group of characters in a room trying to like explain and justify their actions. And again, it was like, okay, right, we're back to this ideological sort of back and forth. So
good. This, I enjoyed the first 3 episodes. Don't get me wrong, but these last 2, this is what the show is.
Oh yeah, that was set up for this. That was the setup for what the season really is.
Yeah.
And I think I'm surprised with the direction, because I was expecting us to keep going with the, okay, Michelle, do we trust her? Does Cos trust her? Does she not? We were building up the plan. I was not expecting where this episode went. I did not in a million years think that we were going to come out of this episode with Ezekiel being dead. That was
absolutely not. Especially as this was essentially the Ezekiel episode, so it kind of makes sense in that in a way. It's like, okay, we set him up and we build up for his death.
Yeah, but I think he's such a main character and has been since the start of the show that I just assume he's going to be around.
I do as well, and I feel like it's why I wasn't questioning that. Oh, it's an Ezekiel episode. I'm like, okay, we were bound to learn more eventually. This seems as good a time as any.
He had one last year, so why not? And given that he's revealing that he's secretly working for the cause now, he supports the cause. I thought, okay, this is a new dynamic for the rest of the season. That he's on their side. He's trying to help them. And everything he's been doing is to, he sent Michelle not to stop them. He actually gave her something that would stop the bomb, something that would make it even
harder to detect,
untraceable. Yeah, they could sneak it in better.
Yeah, the scanners wouldn't pick it up.
So I was like, okay, this is really interesting. But of course, the big thing that's happening while this is all going on, almost immediately within a couple of lines of him talking to them and explaining why he's there, that he supports the cause, Marcella gets Cassie to turn on his computer, because obviously. Michelle's got her comm thing, right? Yes. She's got her thing, and that's still broadcasting, and they listen to the entire conversation there. And I loved every time it cut back to them, because as soon as he said he supports the cause, and the shock in their faces, and Cassie is kind of crying almost. She's really emotional about it, but Marcella's like, oh,
do you know what I love most about it is he never gets a chance to explain himself. Like, you can see the defense of no, this is my infiltration plan. This is how I'm stopping the bomb. I'm letting them think I'm on their side. I'm letting them think they're in control. And the same can be said for Michelle at the end of the episode. She says to Joanna, I can't go back there. They know I'm, implicated in this.
Yeah.
But it's like, but could she play it as, I didn't know what I was doing. Ezekiel told me this was a mission, that I was helping stop them. I was undercover.
Maybe she'll try. I don't see that going well, but I could see that being like a last ditch thing later on.
It's a good effort though, right? Yeah. It's a thing that springs to mind that's plausible.
But right now she's trapped on the outside, and they see, because Marcella just shoots them point blank. She just does it right there and then. And I was like, oh shit, they're actually killing him. I did not see that. I thought we were going to have some time with her knowing that it was the cause, and there's going to be some mind games and trying to catch him out in front of other people or something.
No, she is ruthless.
She is ruthless, and she puts the cause symbol on him so that everyone
strings him up.
Yeah, so it looks like the cause have gotten really vicious and done this proper assassination. And that's not really what's happened. So they're being painted as extremists. But that's the thing. Now she knows about the bomb. She knows the entire plan.
She knows that they actually are extremists.
Yeah.
But so I think that's why this is so believable. Is because even from our perspective, where we know what they're planning, we know they're planning a bomb. So it's believable that they'll assassinate one man.
But we also know that Fernando and Joanna, and presumably Michelle, will be kind of on board with this, you imagine, is the alternative plan where no one dies. It's just a case of disrupting things. And I still feel like that's the plan that... I can see both plans kind of happening at the same time, and the whole thing is like, okay, who actually is willing to do the extreme thing? Like, they'll all go along with, we'll try and do that plan, but we might have to just use the bomb, and it'll be like
the bomb's the backup.
It'll be dueling plans at the same time.
Think the thing that'll add some weight to whoever argues on the side of the bomb, even if that is Michelle, because it could be Michelle, we don't know yet.
Yeah,
is the council will be there, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And that part of taking them out and destabilizing.
They could change those plans now that Marcella's heard this all.
They could, but Marcella could be I can see the logic from her being as a show of strength. We can't back down and show we're afraid. Sure. We have to go out and face it and a show of strength essentially.
And it's worth mentioning as well. Raphael, like, when he's asked point blank, "Do you think Michelle was here? Is she involved with the cause?" He has this moment of hesitation where he's maybe not going to deliberately string her up.
He really doesn't know, and then she's like, well, maybe we heard of, so did any of the voices sound like it? Says, one kind of did, but which isn't anything definitive still.
No, but this is the thing though. He has a little flashback where he basically realizes why he wants revenge, because he remembers last episode when she was trying to string him up to the cause, and he's like, you know what, screw her. He makes a vindictive choice almost to put her in the crossfire.
Oh, absolutely. My point is, he doesn't say definitively that she was here. She says a voice that one did sound a bit like her. Like there's wiggle room if he wants to go back on it later.
There is, but he still clearly makes that choice. He's not going to do it, and then he makes the choice when he thinks back to her trying to get him in trouble with the cause. So, I think that's interesting, and again, I wonder which side he comes down on the bomb. He doesn't know about the bomb yet. He doesn't know what the plans are, especially since if he cares about Eliza being there, I imagine he's not going to want to blow the place up.
Oh, definitely not. He's not wanting to do that for sure. He doesn't want her dead, if nothing else.
Yeah. So this was a fascinating episode in the same way that 3% is normally fascinating, and you've got people in a room debating and trying to convince each other of what's going on. In fact, I even loved that we got a little bit of Ezekiel's
his
games.
First test. Yeah,
his first test with the cards.
You see him do the cards, and they talk about blue and red. I'm like, oh, this is the same thing he was doing with Michelle. Because we saw him teaching her to lie with, okay, what colour's your card? And his approach to it is just fascinating.
Yeah,
he's just like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, you blame me all you want. I'm good.
Yeah, I know it's not me. And then it's obviously it's the same woman in the council who's much older in present day. She's like, hey, so who do you think's got the card? And he basically deduces it's this guy.
He's a plant.
He's a plant. He's not from the inland. He's from the offshore. And he proves all this, and she basically says, when you pass, come and see me. He's like, not if. It's like, nah, I know a special one when I see them.
Yeah, I think my favourite line in this section was, she says to him, like, oh, aren't you going to defend yourself when they're all accusing him? He's like, he just goes, why should I? I know I'm good. It doesn't matter if they point at me. It's pretty great. Because
part of me was thinking he did have the red card, but he was just going to be so good at this that he came out on top. But it went a different direction, and it was like, no, I'm pointing to him. It's him.
Yeah, and I like that the he deduced the purpose of the test was, well, hang on, it's the inland is in a weird way about equality, right? They believe that they're superior, but they earn their superiority. But once they're there, they're all kind of equal. Like they all deserve to be there. And his point here is, well, there's no point in having a test where one person has a clear disadvantage, because that defeats the entire ideology of yours, so it makes no sense to him. Yeah,
no, it's just good logic, and so they really set up to build his backstory a bit more, understand his motivations, at least to a point. Again, we don't know, maybe he was going to go back on his word to them, and
this is the thing. I'm inclined to think that this is genuine, but we might never know for certain.
The motivation rings true. The motivation of his wife definitely rings true.
It does. But at the same time, all in my back of my head is this a ploy to just kind of get in their heads? Like, just a last desperate effort. It's like he knows there's a bomb going off. What can he do to stop it? Okay, let's go through and tell them, convince them this will let it through the scanners, but actually it won't.
But the interesting thing to me is that when he's convincing them, he's convincing Silas and the girls, it's actually Silas is the one who ultimately comes down on his side where he's like he starts being rooting for him. He starts agreeing with him, and like Joanna and Michelle, like, no, you can't trust him. He's Ezekiel. He's he's done all these things to us. Even just seeing him with Joanna again, and just like them confronting each other again after like their ending last season, it just felt kind of cool as well and important.
I love the idea that we got in one of the earliest flashbacks is that the whole idea of infiltrating and doing from within was his idea in the first place. Like and despite that, they clearly think that he failed in his mission because they think everyone who they've done it with has failed. They believed in the idea enough that became their direction for the following 25 years. Is all right, no, infiltrate.
Yeah.
It's quite a legacy for him, really. In that sense, he changed the entire direction of the cause for the next 2 decades.
But the thing is, he was in such a powerful position that arguably he could have been successful. It just took a long time because he had to rise up the ranks. He had to get to this point where he had the power to actually make change and arrange plans and have access to just everything, like the buildings, key cards, rooms.
Even down to the point of it allowed him to let in cause infiltrators that he knew about, and maybe get a bit of a private army on the inside. Yeah,
it's almost a shame we won't get a scene with him and Raphael where he's like, "No, Raphael, I'm on your side." Like,
yeah, I will.
I want you to do this. So, no, I'm fascinated. I love that we have all of our characters. Well, I mean, Raphael's still kind of like in the process building, but I love that we have, like, when Fernando goes back into it and we have this group, like, I wonder how Gloria comes into this. Is she just gone until she goes to the process now? Is she still just mad at Fernando? Or do they kind of get her on board in some way to help? Because she will be getting in for the process, can she help with whatever the plan they end up going with?
That's the thing. She's got to tie in at some point, because we set her up.
Yeah, especially if the plan, like, if they want to do it the way that doesn't blow everyone up, right? Is that what convinces her to help? Like, oh no, like we're trying to not be the extremists. We're trying to do this in the humane way.
Right, because as much as so far her purpose has been to humanize the innocent people, right? To give us someone to connect to in the innocents that are going to be bombed. I feel like it would be a disservice to her character that's been set up to assume that that's all she's there for.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and I think she was instantly quite likable, and they've done a little bit with her, and especially through Fernando's eyes and his connection to her. Like, I think she instantly feels like part of the main cast, and not just because she's in the opening credits, which does help, admittedly.
It helps, yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, so is Ezekiel.
Well, that's the old twist. That's you put Jesse in episode 1 and 2, and traditionally in the pilot in the first 2 episodes of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Joss Whedon did want to put him in the credits so that no one would know that he was going to die so early. But it cost money.
It was too expensive at the time.
It was too expensive, which is funny because
those things take longer than 5 minutes to knock up at the time.
Yeah, well, which is funny because now, like, I'll do it for you, Whedon. It's fine. Like, send me the footage. I can edit you one up.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Now that's a 5-minute job.
Yeah, I mean, we're being hyperbolic. It takes a little bit longer than that, but yeah.
No. To edit in that one bit for consider say the rest.
Oh,
of it's
sure.
already
Okay.
made.
All right. Okay. Yeah. If you've done the rest of the process and all you're doing is making the room, because keep in mind it still has to fit the length of the track, so there's still a little bit more of just altering to make it work. But yeah, if you've done the rest of it and you've got all your graphics that are all the animations already done, then sure, yeah, it's not that much of a job.
It is, a 10-minute job to go. All right. Okay. Let's move this in. Move some stuff around a little bit to make it fit.
Yeah.
Compared to making it from scratch takes a bit longer. Don't get me wrong. I'm not diminishing the whole, but still quicker than it was then.
Yeah, it's still a couple of days of editing to make that from scratch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no. But the point I was making is that and it's even more established with Ezekiel though, because he was the main character in season 1, and he's
season and a half essentially we've had him, and here he goes.
Yeah, no, that was truly a surprise that they killed him off. Because even though it was changing his direction a lot, it felt like they were setting him up for like a whole new plot thread.
I think that's why it's such a ballsy move, because it's like, okay, here was all the reveals, and you could, we've spoke about all the things that you can see that you can come from this. Like, oh, we never got anything with Raphael. Like, there is so much potential in this pivot of his character.
And it also really sets up Marcella, because obviously she had presence before, but I think this really catapulted her to, no, she's the real Ezekiel. Given how we felt about Ezekiel in season 1, where he's the big bad who's looking out for the cause, like he's trying to like catch them out.
Yeah. Now
she's like really set up as, no, she's the uber Ezekiel. She's the one who really will come after them. They've really set her up well, because obviously the episode ends with her making this speech about stomping out the cause and protecting and showing dominance. And
Yeah, I love that we have the dual funerals
Yeah.
that we're cut in between. Ezekiel's that because they just tell. Oh, she obviously just telling him, oh, it was the cause. So they're celebrating him as a martyr essentially.
yeah,
And at the same time, you have the cause having the funeral for Ivana.
in fact,
Also,
there's a nice moment during the Ezekiel funeral where Cassia, who knows the truth, is looking a little bit conflicted with how to react to everyone else thinking he's a martyr.
and Raphael's mourning Ivana rather than Ezekiel.
Yeah, which is a nice little touch. I do question one element of this. It's not a big deal, but I do question it. Is how the cause got her body.
They left it because Raphael asks Marcella, "What we're going to do with the body?" and she says, not our problem."
Oh, I didn't take that as they were just going to leave it behind. I thought that meant they had like people in the inland who came and dealt with these kinds of things. But yeah, you may be right. Yeah, maybe just left it.
I figure it's just like, not our problem. Who cares? It's just another body.
Because we've seen that they've got people in the inland working for them before. Because where they stole the fertilizer, that's people in the inland who work for the offshore.
No, it's true.
I was thinking that it'd be like a clean-up crew essentially, but no, you may be right. They maybe just left it behind. Yeah. That's fair.
I did love the touch of. So we learnt from the flashbacks with Julia that when she killed herself, she wasn't allowed to be buried, and he had to burn her.
Yeah.
Right. That was the catch. It's like no, and you just got to burn her. And we see when the cause are given the funeral for Ivana, it's a pyre. They're burning her. It's this idea of that's like essentially the poor people get burnt. And it's that's what the punishment was, so to speak. So that's the way it's done on the inland. It's just you're just burnt over there. Over here you get a burial. That's prestige.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they have much land to bury people in the inland.
Exactly.
It's a concrete jungle and nothing else. So
exactly.
What else are they going to do? But no, really good episode at 3%. It's really a big turning point in the middle of the season. So we have 5 episodes left. I'm pretty much now convinced more than ever we're not going to actually get the process itself this year.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
I'm at the point now where I'm like, no, we're still going to build up, and it's going to be about the plan, the alternating plans, the dueling plans.
Yeah, I think the last episode is going to be the day of the process.
Episode 1 last season when they all come in and get the speech. That'll be the finale when everything's about to kick off. Yeah.
Which is why I think they're being smart and showing us snippets of we got the makeshift test before. We actually got Ezekiel's test this time, just so that we're still getting those elements in here.
Yeah. Joe, I can almost see happy. Maybe not in the finale. Maybe this is a season 3 thing, but I can almost see if let's say everything doesn't go very well and they capture Fernando, Michelle, Joanna, Raphael, and they see them all as criminals. I can see them almost putting them in a test, but not to test them to get back into the offshore. But this is your punishment, is you have to go through these tests. Like I can see them being put back into their season 1 kind of their roles, but as a sort of malicious punishment rather than
possibly. Yeah.
Because I feel like they'll be this is a weird thing to compare it to, but it's almost like in season 3 of Prison Break, it was like, oh no, they're back in a prison. Like, we're back to kind of what the point of the show was. Yeah, I can kind of see them doing a similar thing. Maybe not for a whole season, but just like, oh, there's going to be a point where they're in a room together, the 4 of them, and they're going to have to solve a game. Not a real game, but like essentially a game to survive.
Yeah, no, I get you.
I can see that. Well, it's actually no. We're going to put you in a test, or if it's not, Marcella has them trapped in a room and there's gas coming in, and they have to.
That said, I think ultimately that's kind of where this season's going. It's going to be the 4 of them, and the game is how do we not blow them up? How do we not use a bomb? That's the game.
That's like the game is how do we not blow up?
Yeah. But when Joanna came to Fernando, was like, hey, you remember those tests? Well, I got one for you. How do you stop the process? I feel like
that's the game of the season. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, okay, we will get our characters together, just going through that.
Yeah, that's curious. But at the same time, I have to assume they want a season 3, so I can't imagine it just all ends happily with them ending the process forever. So we'll see how that goes. But no, that's 3%. Episode 5 was a really good episode. Season's really shaping up. So, like I say, it took a bit more time getting started at the start. It took a few episodes to kind of like set up the idea, set up some new characters. But it really feels like it's kicking now.
I do think that's where the extra episodes this season were the early part of the setup.
And I think it was probably smart. I think they wanted that. Because it did feel like a big... See, when they got in the room at the end of episode 3 and it set up episode 4, that felt like a big moment, like having those 4 together.
Yeah.
So
that little bit of time did work, and it's made these feel even more satisfying, I think.
Yeah. So, no, good stuff. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like, subscribe. There is the audio feed, of course, of the Netflix original reviews to check out. Go to the patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, our Patreon page. Obviously, if you want to support us, that's great. You can get some bonuses over there. You can also find links to all the other stuff we do, all the other playlists and audio feeds and everything else. And some bonus stuff as well, of course, if you're a patron. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?